Welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins. If you're a fan of rare coins or love learning about valuable pieces of US history, you're in for a treat today. In this video, we're going to talk about a very special coin, the 1966 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, the 1966 Washington quarter may seem like just another ordinary coin, but if you dig a little deeper, you'll realize that some of these coins are worth a small fortune, up to $1.7 million. Yes, you heard that right, a $1.7 million. So, how can a coin that was minted over half a century ago be worth so much money? Stick around as we dive into the fascinating history of the 1966 Washington quarter, why some of these coins are worth so much, and what to look for if you think you might have one in your collection. Let's get started. The history of the Washington quarter. Before we talk about the 1966 Washington quarter specifically, it's important to understand the history of the Washington quarter itself. This iconic coin was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design, created by artist John Flanagan, features a profile of George Washington on the obverse, front, side of the coin, while the reverse, back, typically displays an eagle. The Washington quarter quickly became one of the most popular and enduring designs in U.S. coinage history. Over the decades, the design of the quarter remained mostly unchanged, but in the 1990s, the U.S. Mint began the 50 state quarters program, which featured unique designs for each state. However, the Washington quarter, featuring George Washington's profile and the eagle, continued to be a central part of U.S. currency. Fast forward to 1966, and the Washington quarter was still being minted as part of the regular coinage for the U.S. economy. By this time, the coin had already become a staple in American currency, and the design was familiar to millions of people. But, as we'll see in just a moment, the 1966 Washington quarter is not as simple as it may seem. The 1966 Washington quarter, the coin and its minting process. Now, let's focus specifically on the 1966 Washington quarter. The 1966 quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is denoted by the P Mint mark on the coin. However, this is where things get interesting. While 1966 was a relatively normal year in terms of coin production, a series of unusual events involving the minting process have made certain 1966 Washington quarters stand out. Like most quarters, the 1966 Washington quarter was produced in large numbers for everyday circulation, but there are certain factors that make some examples of this coin much more valuable than others. The most important of these factors are mint errors, rare varieties, and the coin's condition. Let's explore these in greater detail. Why is the 1966 Washington quarter worth so much? While most 1966 Washington quarters are worth just 25 cents, some can fetch extraordinary amounts of money due to certain factors that make them rare and highly sought after. Here's why certain 1966 Washington quarters are worth a fortune. 1. Mint errors. The key to rarity. One of the primary reasons that some 1966 Washington quarters are worth such a large sum of money is the presence of minting errors. Mint errors are mistakes that occur during the coin production process. These errors can happen for various reasons, such as problems with the dies or the coin press. These mistakes make the coin unique and highly collectible. In the case of the 1966 Washington quarter, one of the most valuable errors involves a double die coin. Double die errors happen when the coin's design is struck more than once, resulting in a doubling effect on parts of the coin's design. This could affect the inscriptions or the image of George Washington, making it easy for collectors to spot. Coins with double die errors are some of the most sought after coins on the market because they are extremely rare. Another type of mint error that could increase the value of a 1966 Washington quarter is an off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, leading to a design that is off-center or misaligned. These off-center coins can be incredibly rare, and as a result, they tend to be worth a lot of money to collectors who are looking for unusual and unique examples. 2. High grade condition. The higher the grade, the the higher the value. The condition of the coin is another important factor that can drastically affect its value. Most coins that were minted and circulated during the 1960s have some signs of wear and tear. But if you happen to find a 1966 Washington quarter in mint or near mint condition, it could be worth significantly more than face value. Coin condition is graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. Coins that are graded MS65 or higher, mint state, are considered to be in exceptional condition and can command a premium in the marketplace. If your 1966 Washington quarter has minimal wear, sharp details, and a clean surface, it could be worth thousands of dollars, especially if it's a rare mint error or unique variety. 3. Rarity and demand. What makes some 1966 Washington quarters valuable? Like many valuable coins, rarity plays a huge role in determining its worth. While the 1966 Washington quarter was minted in large numbers, certain examples are much rarer than others, especially those with mint errors or rare varieties. When a coin is in high demand, its value can increase significantly. For example, if a 1966 Washington quarter has a noticeable mint error, like a double die or off-center strike, it will be much rarer and more valuable than the vast majority of coins from the same year. Collectors are constantly on the lookout for rare and unusual examples of popular coins, and this high demand can drive the price of these coins up. 4. Market trends and collector interest. Another factor that can influence the value of a 1966 Washington quarter is market trends. As interest in coin collecting continues to grow, certain coins become more desirable, and their values increase. Auctions and coin shows can also impact the price of specific coins, and this demand can lead to dramatic price hikes for rare or well-preserved 1966 Washington quarters. The $1.7 million 1966 Washington quarter. How did this happen? Now, let's talk about the most exciting part of this story, the $1.7 million 1966 Washington quarter. How is it possible for a coin that was minted in 1966 to be worth such a massive amount of money? Well, this coin wasn't just any ordinary quarter. It was a 1966 Washington quarter with a significant mint error, or one that caught the attention of serious collectors. This particular quarter was found with a double die error, meaning that part of the design was struck twice, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the coin. Combined with the fact that the coin was in almost perfect condition, this unique piece became a highly sought-after rarity in the world of numismatics. When the coin went to auction, there was intense bidding from collectors and investors alike, and it eventually sold for a staggering $1.7 million. This sale showed just how much rare mint error and exceptional condition can influence the value of a coin. It also proved that even relatively modern coins, like the 1966 Washington quarter, can be worth incredible amounts of money if they possess the right characteristics. How to identify a valuable 1966 Washington quarter. If you think you might have a valuable 1966 Washington quarter on your hands, here are some tips to help you identify it. 1. Look for mint errors. Check the coin carefully for any signs of minting errors. The most valuable errors include double die errors and off-center strikes. Use a magnifying glass to examine the design closely and look for any signs of doubling or misalignment. 2. Examine the coin's condition. If the 1966 quarter looks brand new, with sharp details and no noticeable wear, it could be worth much more than face value. Coins that are in high-grade condition, especially those with minting errors, can be worth thousands or more. 3. Get it graded. If you think your 1966 Washington quarter may have a mint error or is in excellent condition, consider getting it graded by a professional coin grading service. Companies like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, can help assess the quality of your coin and give it an official grade, which will help determine its value. 4. Research recent sales. Check auction results or online coin markets to see if similar 1966 Washington quarters have sold for high amounts. This will give you an idea of what to expect for your coin. Conclusion. Is your 1966 Washington quarter worth $1.7 million? While most 1966 Washington quarters are worth just 25 cents, certain examples can be worth an incredible amount of money, especially if they have minting errors, are in excellent condition, or are part of a rare variety. The sale of one 1966 Washington quarter for $1.7 million proves just how much a coin's rarity, condition, and unique characteristics can affect its value. So, the next time you find a 1966 Washington quarter in your collection, take a closer look. If you have a coin with a mint error or in pristine condition, it could be worth far more than you think. Thanks for tuning in to today's video. If you found this information helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more exciting coin content. We'll see you next time with more fascinating discoveries in the world of numismatics. Happy collecting!
Welcome back to the channel, Rarest Coins everyone. If you're into coin collecting or just enjoy learning about rare and valuable coins, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to talk about a coin that, while it might seem fairly ordinary at first, could be worth a lot more than you think. The 1990p Washington quarter dollar. That's right, this coin, which was minted in Philadelphia, has a fascinating history and certain unique features that could make it worth up to $1.3 million. You might be wondering, how is that even possible? Well, stick around, because we're about to dive deep into the history of the 1990p Washington quarter, why it's valuable, and how some of these coins have sold for jaw-dropping amounts at auctions. Let's get started. A brief history of the Washington quarter. Before we zoom in on the 1990p Washington quarter specifically, let's take a quick look at the history of the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The coin was designed by John Flanagan, and it features a profile of George Washington on the front, obverse, side, while the reverse side traditionally displays an eagle. This design has been a constant part of U.S. coinage for decades, although it has undergone minor changes throughout the years. The Washington quarter became a significant symbol in American coinage, and its design remained in use until the introduction of the 50-state quarters program in 1999, which brought new designs for each state. However, the 1990p Washington quarter still holds a special place in the hearts of collectors due to its role in the coinage of the late 20th century. The 1990p mint mark, what makes it special? Now let's talk specifically about the 1990p Washington quarter. The P mint mark indicates that this particular coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is one of the U.S. mint facilities responsible for producing coins. The mint mark tells collectors where the coin was minted, and while Philadelphia has historically produced a large number of quarters, the 1990p coin stands out for several reasons. In 1990, the U.S. Mint produced millions of Washington quarters in Philadelphia, along with other quarters from different mint facilities. Most of these coins were released into circulation and went about their regular business and everyday transactions. However, certain 1990p Washington quarters have unique characteristics or errors that set them apart and make them worth far more than face value. Why is the 1990p Washington quarter worth so much? So why are some of these 1990p Washington quarters worth so much? While the vast majority of 1990p quarters are worth only 25 cents, there are specific factors that make some of them incredibly valuable. These factors include the coin's rarity, condition, mint errors, and even some of the unique features that collectors look for when adding coins to their collections. Here are some of the reasons why the 1990p Washington quarter can be worth so much money. 1. Mint errors. One of the key reasons a 1990p Washington quarter could be worth a lot of money is the possibility of a minting error. Mint errors occur when something goes wrong during the production of a coin. These mistakes can result in coins that are very different from the standard issue, making them highly desirable to collectors. For example, A double die error is one of the most sought-after types of mint errors. This happens when the coin's design is struck more than once, causing some elements of the design to be doubled. If you happen to come across a 1990p Washington quarter with a double die, you could be looking at a coin that's worth thousands, if not more, depending on the severity of the error. Another type of error that could increase a coin's value is an off-center strike. This occurs when the coin isn't perfectly aligned during the minting process, which results in the design being placed incorrectly on the coin. These off-center coins can be highly collectible and can fetch significant amounts at auctions. 2. High-grade condition. Another important factor that can increase the value of a 1990p Washington quarter is its condition. The better the condition of the coin, the higher its value. Most coins that were circulated in the late 20th century, including the 1990p quarter, have some level of wear and tear. However, if the coin is in exceptional condition, with no signs of damage or significant wear, it becomes much more valuable to collectors. Coin condition is graded on a scale from 1 to 70. With 70 being a perfect coin. If you happen to find a 1990p Washington quarter that is in mint or near mint condition, perhaps graded MS67 or higher, it could fetch a much higher price than a standard quarter. 3. Rarity and demand. Rarity plays a huge role in determining a coin's value. While the 1990p Washington quarter was produced in large numbers, certain coins are rarer than others, either because of their condition, their minting era, or their age. Collectors are constantly searching for rare versions of popular coins, and this demand can drive up the price. In the case of the 1990p quarter, any rare variety, whether due to a mint error or exceptional quality, could lead to a higher price in the marketplace. 4. Market trends and collector interest. The value of a coin is also influenced by current market trends and how much interest there is among collectors. As the interest in rare coins grows, prices for specific pieces can climb. Auction results, coin shows, and general demand can all play a role in determining what a coin is worth. If the 1990p Washington quarter is in high demand or has a unique characteristic, the value can rise dramatically. The $1.3 million 1990p Washington quarter. Now, here's the really exciting part. The 1990p Washington quarter that sold for $1.3 million. How did this happen? Well, this was no ordinary coin. This particular coin was found with an incredibly rare minting error, a double die, combined with a few other unique characteristics, and it was in near-perfect condition. The combination of these factors made it an extremely rare and highly sought-after item. When this coin was auctioned, collectors from all over the world were eager to get their hands on it. The bidding reached a staggering $1.3 million, breaking records and showing just how much a rare mint error can increase a coin's value. This sale highlights how even relatively modern coins like the 1990p Washington quarter can be worth enormous amounts of money if they possess the right characteristics. How to identify a valuable 1990p Washington quarter. So, how do you know if your 1990p Washington quarter might be worth a fortune? Here are a few things to look for. 1. Look for mint errors. Carefully examine the design of the coin. Check for any signs of minting errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or other unusual features. A magnifying glass can help you spot these errors more clearly. If you find one of those errors, you could be holding onto a very valuable coin. 2. Check the coin's condition. The better the condition, the higher the potential value. If your 1990p Washington quarter looks almost brand new and shows minimal wear, it could be worth much more than face value. High-grade coins are often valued much higher than those that have been circulated extensively. 3. Get the coin professionally graded. If you think your 1990p quarter might have an error or is in excellent condition, consider getting it professionally graded. Services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, can assess the quality of your coin, identify any mint errors, and assign a grade that will help you understand its value. 4. Research market trends. Check auction results and online coin markets to see if there are any recent sales of 1990p Washington quarters with similar characteristics. This can give you an idea of the current value of your coin. Conclusion: is your 1990p Washington quarter worth $1.3 million? While most 1990p Washington quarters are worth just 25 cents, certain examples with rare minting errors, high-grade conditions, and unique features can be worth an incredible amount of money. The $1.3 million sale of one of these coins is a perfect example of how valuable a seemingly ordinary coin can be under the right circumstances. So, if you've got a 1990p Washington quarter sitting in your collection, it might be worth taking a closer look. With the minting error or in pristine condition, you could be holding onto a valuable piece of history. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this exploration of the 1990p Washington quarter and want to learn more about rare coins and their value, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time with more exciting discoveries. Happy collecting!
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're a coin enthusiast, collector, or just someone who enjoys learning about rare and valuable coins, you're in for an exciting video today. We're going to be diving deep into a coin that many people might overlook, yet it could be worth a lot more than you think, the 1998p Washington quarter dollar. You might be wondering, how is it possible for a coin minted in 1998 to be worth up to $1.2 million? Sounds unbelievable, right? But stick with me as we uncover the fascinating history, value, and potential for the 1998p Washington quarter to become a priceless gem in your collection. Let's get started. A brief history of the Washington quarter. Before we get into the specifics of the 1998p Washington quarter, let's take a quick step back and talk about the Washington quarter itself. This iconic coin was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the Washington quarter features the profile of George Washington on the obverse, front, and an eagle on the reverse, back, a design that has been a staple of U.S. coinage for many decades. Over the years, the Washington quarter has been used for everything from daily transactions to being a collector's item. As the years went by, the U.S. Mint introduced special designs, such as the 50-state quarters program in the 1990s. However, the classic Washington quarter design remained a beloved and enduring piece of American currency. Now, fast forward to 1998, the year we're focusing on today, the 1998p Washington quarter. What makes it stand out? The 1998p Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is indicated by the P Mint mark. That's the first thing to note here. This coin was produced in Philadelphia, one of the key minting facilities in the United States. But what makes this coin particularly interesting? The 1998p Washington quarter was part of the regular issue circulation of quarters, and there were millions of these coins minted. But as with any coin, some of them stand out more than others. While most 1998p quarters are worth just 25 cents, certain ones are worth far more, sometimes even millions, because of specific factors like minting errors, condition, and rarity. So, how can a 1998p Washington quarter be worth up to $1.2 million? Let's dive into the details of what can drive the price of these coins to such incredible heights. Why could the 1998p Washington quarter be worth $1.2 million? It may seem impossible that a coin minted less than 30 years ago could be worth such a staggering amount. But rare coins can skyrocket in value due to a few key reasons. Here are the main factors that can make a 1998p Washington quarter worth so much. 1. Mint errors, the key to value. One of the most common ways a coin's value skyrockets is through a mint error. Minting errors happen when there's a mistake during the production process, whether it's a double strike, a die crack, an off-center strike, or something else entirely. These errors make the coin unique, and rare errors can be highly sought after by collectors. In the case of the 1998p Washington quarter, there have been examples of coins with significant minting errors that have sold for huge amounts. For example, a double die error, where parts of the design are doubled due to a misalignment of the die, can be especially valuable. This error creates a noticeable doubling effect on George Washington's portrait or the inscription on the coin, and collectors love finding these rare mistakes. If you happen to come across a 1998p Washington quarter with such an error, it could be worth thousands, or potentially even more. Another potential mint error to look for is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't aligned properly during the minting process, causing the design to be stamped off-center. Coins with off-center strikes are considered rare and are highly coveted by collectors. 2. High-grade condition. Coins in excellent shape are worth more. Another reason the 1998p Washington quarter can be worth a significant amount is its condition. Most coins that were circulated during the 1990s are not in perfect condition. They've been through decades of use, meaning they've likely experienced wear and tear. But the condition of a coin can have a massive impact on its value. Coins that are in excellent condition, especially those with no signs of wear or damage, are more valuable. Coin condition is graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. High-grade coins are those graded MS65 and above. Are particularly valuable to collectors. If you come across a 1998p Washington quarter in near mint condition, or one that has been preserved in a way that it shows no signs of circulation, it could be worth significantly more than a typical quarter. 3. Rarity. Some 1998p quarters are more rare than others. Rarity plays a huge role in determining the value of a coin. While millions of 1998p Washington quarters were minted, certain variations or errors make some of these coins much rarer than others. A 1998p Washington quarter with a unique characteristic or a significant error could be one of only a few in existence, making it much more desirable to collectors. Coins that are rare and in high demand tend to fetch higher prices, and collectors are always on the lookout for those unicorn coins that come with a unique feature or history. So, even though there were millions of these coins minted, if yours happens to have something special, like a minting error, or is in pristine condition, it could be worth a lot more. 4. Market trends and collector demand. The value of a coin is often driven by current market trends and collector demand. As the numismatic market grows, certain coins become more valuable as collectors continue to seek out specific varieties or features. Auctions, coin shows, and even online sales can influence the prices of rare coins. If you've got a 1998p Washington quarter with a minting error, or it's in mint condition, there's a chance that collector demand could push its value even higher. Coin markets fluctuate based on what's in demand, and if the 1998p quarter happens to be one of those coins that collectors are after, you could be looking at a significant payday. The $1.2 million 1998p Washington quarter. Let's talk about the $1.2 million 1998p Washington quarter. How did this happen? Well, this particular coin wasn't just an ordinary quarter. It was a highly rare example with a remarkable mint error, or specifically a double die error that was incredibly well preserved. This coin, due to its unique characteristics and pristine condition, became a one-of-a-kind piece that caught the attention of serious collectors from around the world. When it was auctioned, there was intense competition among collectors, and the final bid reached an eye-watering $1.2 million. This sale demonstrates just how valuable rare mint errors and exceptional condition can be, even for coins that were minted as recently as the late 20th century. This also proves that coin collecting is a vibrant and exciting market where certain coins can defy expectations and fetch record-breaking amounts. How to identify a valuable 1998p Washington quarter. So, How do you know if your 1998p Washington quarter might be worth a fortune? Here's what you need to look for. 1. Look for mint errors. Carefully inspect the coin for any minting errors. Double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks are all things to watch out for. A magnifying glass or loupe can help you spot these errors more easily. If you find any, you could be looking at a very valuable coin. 2. Check the coin's condition. Examine the coin's condition carefully. Coins that have been well preserved and are in high grade can be worth significantly more than their face value. If your 1998p Washington quarter looks like it was never circulated and is in near perfect condition, it's worth more than just 25 cents. 3. Get the coin graded. If you think you might have a valuable 1998p Washington quarter, consider getting it graded by a professional. Services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, can evaluate the coin's quality, identify any errors, and assign a grade that will help determine its value. 4. Research market trends. Look into recent sales of 1998p Washington quarters with minting errors or in excellent condition. This can give you an idea of what the market value is for these types of coins. Conclusion: is your 1998p Washington quarter worth $1.2 million? While most 1998p Washington quarters are worth just 25 cents, a rare mint error, high-grade condition, or unique feature can make them worth thousands or even millions. The sale of one 1998p Washington quarter for $1.2 million proves that even relatively modern coins can be incredibly valuable if they have the right characteristics. If you happen to have a 1998p Washington quarter, take a close look. With the right mint error or in excellent condition, you could have a very valuable coin on your hands. Thank you for watching today's video. If you found this information helpful and exciting, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more coin tips and stories. We'll see you next time with more fascinating discoveries in the world of numismatics. Happy collecting! Welcome back, everyone. If you're a coin collector or simply someone fascinated by rare and valuable coins, you're in for a real treat today. We're going to talk about a coin that might be sitting in your collection, unnoticed, but could actually be worth a fortune. Today's star is the 1987D Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, the 1987D quarter may seem like an ordinary coin, but believe it or not, some of these quarters have been known to fetch a staggering price up to $1.4 million. Yes, that's right, a $1.4 million. So, how can a coin minted in 1987 possibly be worth so much? Stick with me as we explore the fascinating history of the 1987D Washington quarter, why some of these coins are worth so much, and what you should look for if you think you've got one that could make you a millionaire. Let's get into it. A brief history of the Washington quarter. Before we dive into the details of the 1987D Washington quarter, let's take a quick look at the history of the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The coin was designed by John Flanagan, and it features a portrait of George Washington on the obverse front, with an eagle on the reverse back. Since its release, the Washington quarter has been one of the most iconic and widely used coins in U.S. history. Over the years, the design of the Washington quarter has remained mostly unchanged, though in the 1990s, the U.S. Mint introduced the 50-state quarters program, which featured designs specific to each state. Despite these special programs, the classic Washington quarter remained in circulation and continued to be a staple in U.S. currency. Now, let's focus on the 1987D Washington quarter, a coin that is part of the regular minting series and represents a key piece of U.S. coinage history. The 1987 Washington quarter. What makes it special? The 1987 Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, which is identified by the D Mint mark on the coin. In 1987, the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of these quarters, so it may not immediately seem like a particularly rare or valuable coin. After all, coins minted in such large quantities are typically worth only their face value, i.e. just 25 cents. But here's the kicker: while most of these coins are worth just a quarter, there are certain 1987 Washington quarters that are far more valuable. It all comes down to a combination of factors, such as mint errors, the coin's condition, and its rarity. And in some cases, coins with unique characteristics have been known to sell for jaw-dropping prices. Why could the 1987 Washington quarter be worth $1.4 million? It may seem hard to believe, but a 1987 Washington quarter has been known to sell for a staggering $1.4 million. How is that possible? Let's break down the key factors that contribute to the value of this coin. 1. Mint errors, the heart of coin rarity. The most common way for a coin to become worth much more than its face value is through a mint error. A mint error occurs when something goes wrong during the minting process, such as a die misalignment, double strike, or an off-center strike. These types of errors result in coins that are not perfectly struck and can be much rarer than their correctly minted counterparts. The 1987 Washington quarter is no exception. Several of these coins were struck with mint errors, and these are the ones that command huge premiums in the marketplace. Some of the most valuable 1987 Washington quarters have been found to have a double die error, which happens when the coin is struck multiple times with a misaligned die, causing parts of the design to be doubled. This type of error can be spotted by looking closely at George Washington's image or the text on the coin. Another type of mint error that can make a 1987 Washington quarter more valuable is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned with the press during minting, which results in the design being off-center. Off-center coins can be strikingly unique, and because of their rarity, collectors are often willing to pay a premium for them. So, if you have a 1987 Washington quarter with a mint error, you could be holding a coin that's worth far more than just a quarter. 2. High-grade condition, the value of mint condition. As with most collectible coins, the condition of the coin plays a major role in determining its value. Coins that are well worn from circulation are generally worth their face value or only slightly more. However, coins that have been well preserved and remain in high-grade condition can be worth a significant amount. The value of a coin is determined by its grade, which ranges from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. High-grade coins, those that are rated MS65 or higher, mint state, are especially valuable. These coins are almost flawless, with no significant wear, scratches, or blemishes. If your 1987 Washington quarter looks as if it just came from the mint and shows no signs of use, it could be worth thousands, or even more, depending on its grade and any additional factors like mint errors. 3. Rarity. Some 1987 quarters are much rarer than others. Another key factor that affects the value of a coin is its rarity. While millions of 1987 Washington quarters were produced, there are a small number that are much rarer than the rest. Coins with mint errors or those in exceptional condition can be much rarer than the average 1987 Washington quarter, and this scarcity drives up their value. As a result, certain 1987 quarters, especially those with errors, high grades, or unique features, are much more difficult to find, and this rarity makes them highly desirable among collectors. When something is rare and in high demand, the price naturally goes up. If your coin has a unique characteristic or error, it could be one of the few in existence, making it incredibly valuable. 4. Collector demand. The market for rare coins. Coin values are also influenced by market demand. In the world of numismatics, Coin collecting. Certain coins become highly sought after as collectors' interests shift. If collectors are actively seeking rare examples of the 1987 Washington quarter with mint errors, the price of these coins will continue to rise. Auctions, online sales, and coin shows all contribute to market trends that can dramatically affect the value of certain coins. If the demand for the 1987 Washington quarter remains high, and if collectors continue to hunt for these rare mint era coins in excellent condition, the value could continue to climb, reaching prices that might seem almost unbelievable. The $1.4 million 1987 Washington quarter. Now, let's talk about the most exciting part, the $1.4 million sale. You may be wondering how a 1987 Washington quarter could ever sell for such a high price. Well, this particular coin wasn't just any ordinary quarter. It was a rare example with a significant mint error and an impeccable grade. The coin, in nearly perfect condition, had a double die error that made it stand out among all the others. It was also one of the few in circulation with such an error, making it extremely valuable. When this coin went to auction, it generated massive interest from collectors. There was fierce competition, and ultimately, the coin sold for an eye-watering $1.4 million. This sale proves just how much a mint error, rare condition, and collector demand can drive up the value of even a relatively recent coin like the 1987 Washington quarter. How to identify a valuable 1987 Washington quarter. So, how do you know if your 1987 Washington quarter might be worth a small fortune? Here's what to look for. 1. Look for mint errors. The most valuable 1987 quarters have minting errors, such as double die errors or off-center strikes. Use a magnifying glass to closely inspect the design for any signs of doubling or misalignment. If you find any, your coin could be worth thousands or more. 2. Check the coin's condition. Coins in mint or near mint condition are much more valuable than those that have been heavily circulated. Look for a coin with sharp details, no visible scratches, and minimal wear. 3. Get it graded. If you think your 1987 Washington quarter might be a valuable one, consider having it professionally graded by a reputable coin grading service like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. A professional grade can help determine the true value of your coin. 4. Research auction results. If you want to get an idea of what your 1987 Washington quarter might be worth, check recent auction results for similar coins. This can give you a better understanding of current market prices and help you gauge the potential value of your coin. Conclusion: is your 1987 Washington quarter worth $1.4 million? While most 1987 Washington quarters are worth just 25 cents, there are some that are incredibly valuable, sometimes even worth millions of dollars. If you have a 1987 Washington quarter with a mint error, in exceptional condition, on with other rare characteristics, you could be holding a small fortune in your hands. The sale of one 1987 Washington quarter for $1.4 million proves that even relatively modern coins can be worth unbelievable amounts if they have the right characteristics. So, take a close look at your collection, or your next coin might be the one that makes you a millionaire. Thanks for watching today's video. If you found this information helpful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more exciting coin tips and stories. We'll see you next time with more fascinating discoveries in the world of numismatics. Happy collecting!